Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews, and more. This is Mary Collins from LifeHakx Media, and I have the absolute pleasure to introduce Carla Kovach, an author, onto LifeHakx today. Hi, Carla. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. It's lovely to be here today. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for taking one of the rare sunny days in the UK to do this interview with me instead of being outside. But I will just give the audience a little bit of information about you. So, Carla is a crime and horror author from Worcester. Worcester. There we go. You know, I love the sauce that comes out of that place, but you can never say the name. Anyway, her most popular work is the De Gina Hart series and is published by Bookouture. As well as other books, she also likes to write stage and screenplays. So that's very cool. And with that, give us some more information about you. How did you get into writing?
Well, I actually started because I enjoyed theatre stuff and creating plays and being in plays. And I decided to actually write a play. And I ended up putting the play on, which involved a lot of set design, casting, all sorts. And the audience was very small. And it's like, how do I reach a bigger audience with writing? So my thoughts then turned to, well, books. It's not like a one-off performance and then everything's over. A book exists forever. Basically. Yeah. And a nice way to put a story out there that you have in your head. So that's how it all began.
Okay, well, and so you were obviously disciplined in writing a script for a play. Did you find it very difficult to converge into writing novels, for example? I mean, was it same in your brain? How did it work out with the kind of transformation and what happened exactly?
I'm not quite sure. I actually found that writing a play seemed a lot quicker. I mean, you're only mostly writing the dialogue and stage description. So coming into writing a novel after that had its challenges, in which I had to create the rest that you normally see on stage. It had to be shown through the writing. But I didn't find it too hard to adapt. It was just another way of putting the story down on paper, really. In a slightly different sort of way.
All right. Well, so for example, when you go to prepare for a new book, what are the things that you have to line up to make them work according to plan?
It normally starts as an idea. It can be a character, it can be an ending, it can be a certain plot. Quite often I'll come up with a scene, an opening scene or a closing scene, really, which is the end. And then everything is normally triggered from that. Then I normally come up with a plan that involves what characters do I need to tell the story. If it's a character that I've come up with first, it's what story does that character want to tell? Who is that character? Why are they the way they are, first of all? What trouble could they get into because of who they are? And it sort of just develops from there. Then I form a plan, and then I hope it all comes together, and then I work it to make it come together.
Right. I was going to say to you, do you ever experience that thing they call writer's block, and how would you get over it? Or what would you find works for you, as in tasks and things to motivate?
Yeah, I've never experienced writer's block because I tend to have more ideas than I think I can use in my lifetime.
Good, yeah.
It's more, I suppose, writer's motivation. Some days I wake up and I think, I don't feel like doing any writing today, but now it's my actual job. I actually do sit there, even if I'm not in the mood or I don't want to write, and I say, well, I have to write today. Some writing has to be done today. So that's normally how it works.
So would you say scheduling is one of your top life hacks, having that schedule or that place, that location, or that ritual? Is there any particular ritual that you find helps you get through a dreary day that you don't want to write, or a sunny day that you don't want to write on?
I definitely need coffee. That is part of the ritual. Without coffee, I think a lot of writers would fail.
Or murder someone.
Yeah, we all have a big dependency on coffee.
Yeah.
And definitely a good breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
No point feeling hungry after a couple of hours. And I'm more of a morning person, so I definitely schedule a lot more mornings to do my writing, and then my more administrative tasks or other things I tend to schedule in the afternoon, because the creativity lasts for so long and then I need a break from it.
Right.
I also have deadlines, which helps. I have to really plan how much work I have to do in a week, at least meet those targets to be able to meet my deadlines.
Okay, so you were talking about motivation being based currently on actual deadlines, and that's exciting. So how long did it take for you to get your first book deal? I mean, they say that you have to write to like 100 people, sometimes even more, to kind of get somewhere with an agent or a publisher. How did you get started with the success of something? Did you start the book first and then sort of shop it to agents or to publishers? Tell us some great life hacks for publishing.
Well, with my first 4 books, I actually self-published them, and it came to the 5th book that I'd written, and I felt it had mileage as a series. So I thought I'm going to try my luck with some publishers. I actually decided to pitch my book to publishers you can pitch directly to, so not through agents, direct to publishers.
Okay.
I also really loved and still do Bookachaw's books, and I had some lined up on my filing cabinet at work because I worked in accountancy before, and I just kept seeing the Bookachaw logo all the time, enjoying the Bookachaw books, and I actually submitted to Bookachaw and another publisher at the time, and then Bookachaw came back interested with some notes on my manuscript, which I took note of and reworked my manuscript and sent it back to them again. And they offered me a contract based on that, and I was absolutely thrilled because I really, really did want to be published by Bookachaw, and I've got a 3-book deal from them to begin with, of which I've since got more. So
wonderful.
I sort of read a lot of their books and really wanted to write for them, and sort of tried to learn what they publish, if that makes sense.
Yes, that does. Of course, that's a top
very
hack.
Targeted.
Yeah, no, that's a great hack. People sort of want to be voiceover experts. They want to be actors. They want to be directors. They want to, but they don't take the time to actually learn the industry, and specifically who they are trying to pitch to or promote. And like you did that. You took the time to find out the style and publishing needs of the people that you approached, which in this case was Bookachor. What publishing apps did you use, or what did you use for self-publishing? Like, who would you recommend for that?
I've used in the past, if you want to self-publish a book, I definitely recommend Amazon because it's the biggest marketplace out there. You go through KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. It's very user-friendly. You can format your manuscript in Word and just upload it from your Word document. And you can obviously buy, or if you're very good with graphic design, you can make your own book cover. But if not, there's plenty off the peg to buy, or you can have one made. So there's something there for every budget, really.
Okay.
So it can do it for anyone.
And did you not find it, I don't know if you found it disheartening or if you were right off the bat selling like wildfire, but I know that in a case where a lot of people try to self-publish because there are I don't know how many million, 100,000, whatever it is, of people trying to self-publish and get noticed. Did you find that you needed any kind of marketing assistance to kind of move up the Google search line, or how did that work out for you?
Well, it is really difficult. You have to become a marketing person as well, which is hard. I found myself constantly, because two of my books are actually set in a holiday resort in Turkey that I've been to an awful lot. So I was part of the community online for that area, and I found myself spending hours in those groups, constantly chatting and talking, remaining a part of the community there, even when you're not on holiday and over there. I think the the actual marketing when you self-publish starts taking a lot more time than the actual writing. You have to become a marketing person. That is the only way of succeeding in self-publishing. Social media is everything, but not just saying, look at my book, here I am, every 5 minutes. You have to really immerse yourself into the communities that you want to be a part of, that are your readers, your community, that share the interests that you may cover in your book, that love your genre. I mean, it's an actual job of passion, because if you hate it, it will drive you mad.
Right. So that's once again excellent advice, is that, maybe don't be disheartened. You could be a fantastic writer, but if you don't have that marketing push drive or skill set, it is going to be a frustrating climb to the top or even to the halfway point. Okay. Well, and so with the publishing company that you ended up going with, you said you got this 3-book deal. So of course, once again, people assume that means millions of dollars. And in actual fact, 1 million. How does it actually work in reality?
I've just finished laughing at the millions of dollars. Everybody seems to think you're fairly well off. Yeah. I feel as though I've done really well out of it, and I've sold a lot more books than I could ever dreamed of, and they're still selling. I feel very fortunate to have had a lot of number ones. I mean, my first book, the one I think you've read, The Next Girl, I
wrote the broken ones.
Oh, the broken ones.
Yes.
The first one in the series, The Next Girl, spent 5 weeks at number 1 in iBooks UK, and I've had various number ones in Amazon throughout the world, and on Kobo. Not a millionaire yet. I'll just leave it there. Right. You have to have stacks and stacks of number ones and constantly be there. It's so much harder than people think.
Well, this is it. And also, they don't look for a one-off book. They look for someone who can produce a series like you've done, you've proven. Okay. And so, but do you have like rules about asking for a certain amount of money or a certain percent up front? Because normally that's what an agent you'd think would do, is kind of decide on how much money. Did you have to do a lot of research to figure out what you should be asking for?
I generally knew what royalty rates other publishers paid, and I'm really happy with the royalty rate I'm getting through my publisher. They are very competitive. So yeah, I think it's important to do your research and know what other people are paying royalty wise, so that you just know what the going market rate is, really.
What to expect.
Yeah, it's always good to do your research.
Yours fixed, isn't it?
Mine is actually fixed. It's a fixed percentage, and I think most people's will be.
Okay.
LifeHakx. What you want? Why work harder when you can work smarter and live better?
What would you say your top hacks or life lessons would be that you know now that you wish you knew back then when you first started your writing and getting published experience?
Well, the one big thing I've learnt is nothing is wasted. Even when you have false starts or you write something that you feel isn't very good, everything sits in a folder and it can be revived or used at some point. It really, yeah. And I've also found that sometimes you have to throw a bit of emotion into your work and life experience as well. I've often compartmentalised things into good experiences, bad experiences, I'd rather not go through again, but I sort of live not worrying about that now. It's like every experience you've ever been through is in the bank, and it's given you something, whether it's good or bad, and to take the bad things and the good things and to use them for what you need in life, and not worry about them, but almost embrace them. They're what made you. So yeah.
No, that's excellent advice. And speaking of which, what would have been the most, do you think, up to this time and period, had been the most difficult part of your experience in writing or getting published?
I would say that Probably, I'd say rejection may have been something I said a few years ago, but now I just see it as part of the course, really. It doesn't matter so much. I would probably say things like when you get tagged in a negative review or you read bad things online about yourself, it can sort of affect you for the whole day, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's not, I mean, the whole day is much better than people who quit their whole lives because they just feel like, oh, I've got one rejection, that's it, it's over.
Yeah.
So I guess what you're saying is don't hold on to the rejection, just sort of get up and dust yourself off and start again.
Yeah, you're never going to be everybody's cup of tea. You have to just accept that some people won't like what you do, they won't enjoy it, they won't get it, they're not going to like your style. But if people are reading your work, then other people do. And there's no one I know that is universally liked. So pull yourself up and carry on. Excellent
advice. So speaking of which, now when we have this pandemic situation, has that in any way affected your writing, your research schedule, funding, anything like that? Has it caused a headache?
I would say it's actually not been too bad for writers like myself writing commercial fiction. I mean, I think a lot of people turned to fiction to get through some of the lockdowns and some of those bleak days, maybe over winter when they couldn't even go out much for a walk. Mm-hmm. As for research, Google's been amazing. The internet's been amazing. It's not really affected me too much. Not as much as people doing other jobs. I feel like I've been really lucky.
Nothing like a plague to get writers and artists popular again.
No,
that's awful. So with pitching, because you were talking about when rejection letters, do you send just a paragraph? Do you send a page? What do you recommend to writers when they're pitching? Do you give the whole plot? Do you just give a teaser? What do you recommend? What's your top hacks?
Well, I would say most agents and publishers would require a working title, a tagline maybe, and then followed by an elevator pitch, which is just a very short paragraph to sum up the essence and tone of your story. And then a synopsis. I would say give everything away in that synopsis, make it a full synopsis, giving away the twists, giving away what happens to the characters. And you probably need the first 50 pages or 3 chapters of your manuscript. That is the minimum you might need to know you have to do a pitch. But I could only advise that people look at individual requirements for publishers and agents, because everyone is different, even from the formatting. Some people might want it double line spaced or in a certain font. I mean, it is so specific.
Right.
Yeah.
So do your research, in other words. Do your research about who you specifically want to work with. All right. Well, on that note, we're talking now about your latest release, because I was in the middle of reading The Broken Ones when I would actually listen to it on an audiobook. And that's a tough one, because if you don't like this certain style of the accents or whatever, it can be kind of annoying. So I have to admit that I'm not sure now anymore if I'm more audio or if I'm more visual. But the actual storyline was fantastic, and there were many twists and turns and many characters to kind of give meat to the story, and fill it out and make it even more like intriguing. So what would you say kind of inspired The Broken Ones, for example, and what is and then second question is, of course, tell us a little bit more about your newest release.
Yeah, The Broken Ones was, again, it's just inspired by the things that tend to drive crime thrillers. It's just generally obsession and the fact that if you can't let go of your past or someone from your past, that obsession might not go away. What would somebody do fuel that obsession if they started getting darker thoughts. And it also touches on our safety as people wandering around at night. I mean, it's a creepy thing, isn't it? And it's something that scares all of us. A part of that book was inspired by real life. Nothing happened. It was just me walking away from a hospital after visiting my dad when he was poorly, and having parked really far away on the overflow car park, right out the way. And I'd come out at night when everyone had gone home. I was on my own on this car park with just another car parked there, and I was thinking, this is quite creepy. What if?
Right. Wow, wonderful. That you pulled a wonderful story.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to actually formulate the entire idea for The Broken Ones?
Probably I'd spend about 2 to 4 days on actually developing a plan. So the idea would have sparked then. I'd have gone home and written it in my little notebook, or written it on my phone notes. And I'd have just saved it in the bank till I needed a plan to pitch. And then I'd have pulled it out and thought, how can I work this into a storyline? It was creepy. I was there, and I had all these stupid ideas that I was going to get thrown into the back of somebody's boot and carted away.
They're a brilliant storyline because of it. And do you choose when your books go into like an audiobook situation? Do you choose who, like the voiceovers that go on them? Do you have preferences for things like that?
With my DIG in a Heart books, I had the opportunity, which was lovely, to listen to I think it was 3 or 4 voice actors and express which one I felt was most suitable for my books. And thankfully, the 2 that I've had, I did get to listen to first, and I really liked their voices and the way they read the book. So I do get a little bit of input. I don't get the overall say.
Last night a DJ saved my life. Last night a DJ saved my life from a broken heart.
Well, Carla, thanks again so much for this interview and telling us about some of the top hacks for writing and being published and having a routine and a schedule to kind of get you through, and the motivation to get one through writing and publishing. So speaking of being published, you have some exciting news for us.
I do. In July, the next book that's coming out in my DIG in a Heart series is called One Left Behind, and I can't wait to share it with everyone. It's about a teenage camping trip in the woods that goes terribly wrong, and there's obviously murders involved and lots of suspects. And I'd say the main theme running throughout is be careful of who you blame in life, because you might be to blame too. I don't want to say too much more because it would give far too much away. But yeah, I'm really, really excited for it to come out. Yeah.
Wonderful. And where will people be able to access this? Will there be an audio version? Will you be doing a book release? I mean, I guess that depends on the situation currently with lockdowns, but what are the plans?
The plans are it will be released to download as a Kindle or buy as a paperback and an audio book on Amazon, the iBook, Apple Books, and Kobo, Google Play. It's available just about everywhere. You should be able to order it through any bookshop if it's not there as well.
Okay, that's brilliant. And speaking of which, of course, people can go onto your website to find out more, which is carlakovach.com. That's spelled CarlaKovach.com. And of course, they can find you on Amazon. I follow you myself on Amazon to find out when the new books are coming out. And you are on Facebook as Carla Kovach Author, and on Instagram as well, which is just Carla_Kovach.
That's right.
Brilliant. Well, we look forward to finding out more information, and of course, we will be putting up all of your information on lifehakx.com. That's with a K and an X, and we will hear your interview on Radio X in Switzerland and the surrounding areas soon. Thank you so much for your time, Carla. It's been an absolute pleasure.
And thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
LifeHakx. Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews, and more.